Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Pedro and Paul. Uh, it's us two today on the podcast. We are going to be reviewing the first two episodes of Daredevil, Born Again, new Disney Plus series, which is a continuation of the original Netflix Marvel series. Is that right, Paul?
Yes, and what's up, Pedro? Kind of feels like the kids are messing around while the parents are away. It's like this is a lot harder than what it seems. Bruno sets it up like really nice and easy when he's here, and it feels like I kind of felt like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where we're messing with the pop's car, and we have to like run it in
Oh
reverse to get
yeah,
the mileage back.
yeah. You break something and gotta put it back together and make it seem like it was untouched.
I did. I caught the first two episodes. You were a fan of the original, right? You were a big fan of the
So it was so
Netflix.
long ago, that I didn't finish the entire series, but was there more than one season?
Yeah, there's three seasons, and then there's a
Yeah,
whole
so
bunch of other Netflix Marvel shows.
yeah, I didn't watch all the seasons, but I watched most of them, and I remember it being really good. And this was during the era where Netflix had was releasing all these Marvel series, which were great. I mean, I don't think I saw one that I didn't like. They were all like, like TVMA. They all had like adult themes. They were different than any Marvel series I had seen before. Because I think like before that, the WB had some like Daredevil series or something, and it was all like, child's play stuff. But these were more serious and like had some like real action and drama in them. Um, and yeah, Netflix was just on fire with these at one point.
They had a ton of
But do
shows.
you? Yeah,
They
yeah.
had the Daredevil, then they had Jessica Jones, they had Iron
Mhm.
Fist, they have Luke Cage, and then they had the
Luke,
Defenders where they all got
Luke Cage
together.
was great. Yeah, Luke Cage was all. Everybody was watching that when it came out.
Luke Cage was really dope. Jessica,
Did they have a Punisher series?
yes, they did. They had a Punisher too.
They had
Jessica
a
Jones was really dope too. They had she had one of the best Marvel villains. Oh my gosh, I forgot the guy's name, but he was really good. And Luke Cage was dope. Iron Fist got a lot of like, um, you know, not a lot of good reviews, but they did have one really cool episode where Luke Cage came on that Iron Fist show, and they did the um, patty cakes, and they opened the episode like they were going into a warehouse to fight some thugs, and they opened up with like a Wu Tang song. Oh my gosh, that was one of
Oh
the
yeah, I
best
remember
scenes.
that. I
That was
remember
so
that,
dope.
yeah.
Kilgrave was Jessica Jones' villain. He was awesome. He was the guy who played in what's that famous show where they use David Tennant? He was where they go around in time and space using that little phone booth. I would never watch that.
Are you talking about like in the 90s and stuff?
No, it's still going on. Doctor Who, Doctor Who. He was big in Doctor Who, and he was the villain in Jessica Jones. He was Kilgrave. He was one of the best villains in like any show or movie up to that point. Um, he was so good. He had such a cool power. But yeah, those shows were like real gritty. I know you watched part of season one. Can you tell me like what did you think like visually the difference between the old Netflix series compared to this new Marvel series?
Um, the first thing I noticed, well, first before we get into that, why don't you just like preface like what happened or what how we got to the very beginning of this pilot episode for Disney? Because as someone that didn't complete the original series, I'm kind of going into this blind. It's kind of like a new series to me. So, and they didn't really do at the start of the pilot episode, they didn't really do like a background as to like who this guy is, what's his history, how we got here. It just like starts off with them at a bar, right? And like we're supposed to know the characters. So do you
I
want
don't
mind
remember
explaining how they set
100%.
that up?
What I remember was at the end of Daredevil season three, that was the season they brought in Bullseye. They had him masquerading as a fake Daredevil, right? And doing like bad things to give Daredevil a bad reputation. And this was all perpetrated by Kingpin. Um, I think Daredevil and Kingpin got into a huge fight. Daredevil beat him. I forgot what happened to the wife. Like she left, and then I don't really remember too much of the series. I know Daredevil broke Bullseye's back, and Bullseye was getting um, a spine put in, like a replacement. Like in the comics, I think it's adamantium. And in the show, they couldn't use adamantium, so they used something else. But he was
Hmm.
getting like a new spine put in. And then you don't hear anything from Daredevil for a while. Then he was in Spider-Man No Way Home, right? He was Peter Parker's
Oh, he showed up
lawyer.
in that. Yeah, that's right.
The brick came through the window and he caught it real quick. And Spider-Man was surprised by his reflexes. Then he was also in Echo. Echo was that show um, with the deaf girl that was run that had connections with um, Kingpin,
Was that a
and
Disney show too?
that was a Disney show. And she ended up shooting Kingpin in the face, in the eye.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and her and Daredevil fought, but it was like in flashback sequences, and it was a really cool fight sequence. The show was not great, not good at all actually, but it that fight scene that they had was pretty cool. And then the last we saw of Daredevil was in the She-Hulk series where they banged and like they hooked up
Oh wow.
and
So he's been all over the place.
but very
Uh,
that was the last time we saw him and very weirdly in She-Hulk I don't know if you saw it, she kind of breaks the fourth wall and
No,
she
I
comes
didn't. I didn't watch that.
she literally comes like if you know the Disney app like it has the window preview of whatever the
Okay.
show is.
Yeah.
She comes out into the actual preview window in the menu screen and jumps down and like out and she goes talk to like Kevin Feige and she wants it changed like how her show is ending. It's like it gets real meta.
So was that like an Easter egg thing?
Well, then she changes it and she's like it was a cool Easter egg for like the Disney app. She changes her finale and she's like, I want that Daredevil guy back again because she was hooking up with him. So Daredevil just like drops out of the sky on this like college campus or whatever. And then they're having like a family barbecue, Fast and Furious style. And then Hulk shows up, which is She-Hulk's cousin, and Hulk's son shows up, and then Daredevil's just chilling at the table. His son Scar shows up, and they're just all chilling at the table. Daredevil's at the table having barbecue. And like that's how the show ends.
Okay,
So
so that's the last uh appearance that we saw of him before
yeah,
this new series.
show was
Okay.
garbage, except that we got the cool Daredevil yellow costume because he came over on the West Coast. So his East Coast costume was the red one. When he came over on the West Coast, he had the yellow costume, which was really cool to see in She-Hulk. Besides that,
Okay.
it was crap.
Okay.
And so now
So
this picks up, I think, like after the snap happened, after Hulk brought everyone back, the blip or whatever. This happens after season three and after all that stuff happened. And there's a
okay.
couple Easter eggs, but we'll get into it. So that's where we start off now. Karen, Foggy, and Matt are all together, and they started their own firm, um, and like that's how this season starts right there. Like
Yeah. So that's what I was like in the like blanking out on. I didn't know who these other people were or what their connection with Daredevil was because the first episode just starts with them heading into this bar for like I guess this like after work party type thing. So
but
who are the
Karen
so
and
who
Foggy though. You know them from like the original Netflix series. They were a big part of like the original Netflix series.
oh, okay, then
They're like
I
Foggy's like his best friend. Karen was in the first season where like she was caught up in some kind of like conspiracy thing and they represented her and got her out of jail and then they
okay,
gave her
that's
a
cool.
job.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I like I said, it was so long ago, I don't remember anything from the show. So I just remember like Rosario Dawson was in there. But
She was the night nurse.
that was yeah, that's all I like I don't remember much. So these people did carry over. That's cool. Okay, so then they're picking almost right up with the
Yeah.
characters and everything. And then,
And it was
um,
huge getting these people back because when they originally announced this
yeah, it's
series,
tough. It's different studios and stuff. So I imagine it must have been tough re-signing the same people.
and especially what happens after the first episode that they brought Foggy back. Obviously, I don't know if you want to get into spoilers on the first and second episode.
Yeah.
Um, so like Foggy was a big thing. Foggy's been his best friend. They went to college together, they went to law school together, they opened up a practice together, and then they brought Karen in.
Yep.
Foggy
And then
was
he just
huge.
he just gets killed out of nowhere, right? He just gets like
Exactly.
shot
So
by a sniper and
kudos, that was
first 10
Bullseye.
minutes. First
Bullseye
10
sniped him
minutes.
out. So they brought Bullseye back from season three. He had a different outfit, and he sniped Foggy. Um, and Foggy died in the first episode. So kudos to that actor for coming back, knowing he was going to get killed off in the first like 5 minutes of the show because he had such love for Daredevil. He loved the idea that it was continued. When they originally filmed this, they did like 6 episodes, right? And then they went into like this production hell. I think it was like I don't. It wasn't COVID. It was something else. And they got a chance to like stop production on a lot of shows. I think it was during COVID.
It might have been the writer's strike or
Oh,
something,
maybe
right?
the writer's strike. Yes, that's it. And they had time, and Kevin Feige came and he checked it out, and he's like, I don't like how this is going. So they scrapped the first like 6 episodes that they had already filmed, and they started from scratch. They
Oh, really?
repurposed some of the original footage that they shot, but like he wasn't happy with what it was going. And Disney was getting a lot of flack for like their shows not being great. So they redid the whole thing. And they were gonna bring back like now they're bringing back like everybody, like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. I don't know about Iron Fist because a lot of people weren't happy with him. But they already said they're bringing back a lot of defenders, and obviously the Punisher is getting his own special feature on Disney.
Oh, a whole movie.
Yeah, it's like a special feature. It's like that Werewolf by Night where they did like an
Hmm.
hour show slash movie.
Okay.
So he's getting his own. He's filming that now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a show I gotta go back and watch because I never watched the Netflix series. But you're saying they recorded like around 6 episodes of this new Daredevil show?
Yeah, they
Did
back.
any did any of that show from what you saw in the first 2 episodes, did anything look like it was like cut and paste, like it was recycled, like it just kind of
No,
like looked bad?
not really, not in the first 2 episodes, but I know from what they were saying behind the scenes that they did repurpose footage, but they added scenes to it so it flowed naturally. Um, but I didn't notice anything in the first 2 episodes. I mean, there's tons of Easter eggs. We get into that, but so basically, like you said, it starts off. Foggy gets shot. Um, Daredevil is fighting Bullseye the whole time. They had a dope like fight scene going up the stairwell, and then Daredevil the whole time is listening to Foggy wheeze and die because
Yeah.
of his enhanced hearing. And then Foggy dies. Daredevil flips out and he drops Bullseye off the top of the building. And Bullseye survives. And later on, we see him in a court in a trial. Um, and Daredevil gives up, his cowl, and he's no longer Daredevil. He's just going to be Matt Murdock, the lawyer, and that's it. And then at
Yeah,
the
that fight scene sort of like reminded me of the original series, like the first time they show a fight sequence in like the first season, he's just like in some like warehouse or like basement or something fighting a bunch of, bad guys. And I just remember that being such a cool scene because the camera just follows him as he's like beating people up through like this narrow like hallway. And I that just reminded me of the original series, and it kind of I mean it kind of looked like they were just trying to like recreate it, and
in a
that's what they
different
were
way,
going
yeah.
for. But yeah, it reminded me of that.
But see, that's why I was actually new visually because I remember, the original Netflix series being very dark, gritty, grainy.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
This one, you could definitely see the Disney money behind it. It's a lot
Yes.
more polished. There is definitely CGI because, like, when he was doing the grappling hook and stuff, jumping on top of the buildings, you could see there was like stuff that
Yeah.
Netflix couldn't afford. that they're polishing on this. The one thing that threw me off, I don't know if you saw the top of the building scene where he was fighting Bullseye.
It
You could
looked
definitely
like a
tell that
stage.
yeah,
It looked like a stage, and it had that like gray flat look.
yep, and
Like
fake silhouette in the background.
the Netflix series, like you said, it looked dark and gritty, but it had like depth to it, you know? This just had that bad gray, like flat look that every show and movie has now.
Exact, and
Um,
Netflix felt like more guerrilla style, like they were actually filming on top of a building.
exactly. Yeah.
Like when they had
Yeah.
those, this
Yeah,
was a
it
soundstage.
felt more cinematic, this like new style of
It felt
um
very sterile. It felt like very like it threw me off at the end. Like it was really cool up until they got outside, and then it threw me for a loop.
yeah,
I was like, this looks fake.
I didn't appreciate the look at all. And I didn't like the fact that, like you said, that one shot of the building, like it looked like it was obviously on a stage. There was no, I didn't feel like I was in this huge environment like the city, it felt closed off. So not a fan of that. Um
And then like at the end of Echo, Kingpin's on a plane and he's talking about his campaign running for New York mayor. And then obviously they carry that over into this one where you start hearing announcements about like the mayor race, the mayoral race in New York City, and how like it's getting ridiculous. There's like so many candidates. One's a comedian. I don't know what that was a reference to. And then you hear Fisk's name that he's going for mayor, and he comes out and he's like he's on fire. He's running up the polls and he's doing really good. Um, but anyway, so they also have James Gandolfini, from um, Sopranos. His son's in here.
oh, okay.
His son is on the campaign trail with Fisk. So it basically ends the first episode ends with them meeting up in a diner, speaking, and basically saying like, "You stay out of your old tricks, and I'll stay out of my old tricks." So Daredevil's not going to be Daredevil, and Kingpin's going to be clean, and he's going to be a good mayor for the city. Um, Then in episode two, it escalates a little bit more. You kind of see Kingpin going back into his like old ways a little bit, blackmailing the police commissioner. Um, Daredevil's coming to a really hard push to not take back on the cowl. There's references to, um, the blip. There's references to Punisher, to Spider-Man, to Daredevil. Fisk is talking about vigilantes and how he wants to get them, unmasked and have them brought out. White Tiger, they make a reference to him. Matt Murdock's actually defending him because the episode starts with him saving a cop from being killed in a subway in by the train, and now he's got to defend him. And it ends with these goons coming to kill. We don't know what the underall conspiracy is, but these goons come to kill the cop that was saved because he could testify saying that this guy, White Tiger, but he wasn't wearing his amulet or anything. He wasn't like White Tiger. He was just a normal guy when he saved the cop. So this cop that he saved can testify on his behalf and get him out of trouble because he's in jail right now. He's facing a lot of trouble, and these guys show up, and luckily Matt Murdock gets there before the guys show up and tells them to get the hell out of there. And he opens the door for the guys, and they start beating the crap out of him, saying, "This is the lawyer. He's defending that guy. Where's the cop?" And like he won't tell them where he is, and they're about to shoot him and kill him, and then his reflex kicks in, and he beats the crap out of him, and then he screams out because he doesn't want to go back to that. He just wants to be a lawyer, and he's constantly fighting that inner demon of Daredevil, and that's how
So
that episode ends.
so this is kind of like our first taste of what may be a Disney kind of like parallel universe of different TV shows where different characters may pop in and out like they were doing in the Netflix series, and may interact with each other's storyline, right? Is that what
Well,
I'm
this is
what
definitely like mainline MCU. Like this is part of the our main. It's not like Fantastic Four or something like that. This is mainline MCU.
Mhm.
So this is part of like This
But
has the
with
history
all
of
with
Thanos.
all the teases and what and you're saying that, Disney has these other shows lined up.
Yeah, this is, but this
They're
is
kind
not
of just
multiverse.
recreating what Netflix was doing, and
Yeah, yeah. And instead of scrapping and start from fresh, they knew Netflix had a hit on their hands, so they were like, let's just
they're just
continue it.
continuing all the other
Yeah,
shows.
let's just
So
do it. And so
it's basically our first look into or our first taste of what we can expect from other shows
and
to
they've
come.
been doing this little by little, like when they did the Echo series, when they did Spider-Man No Way Home, like they've been little by little bleeding it in, so it feels more organic. And it did. I gotta honestly say, it feels like I don't think it's that's gritty right now. I mean, it is brutal. Like they had some brutal fight scenes. I don't think it's as gritty as the Netflix series yet, but it's definitely like not like our typical Disney Marvel show. I think it was pretty well done. I don't think it's like people are going crazy about this though. Like, oh my gosh, it's Disney's best show. Maybe, I guess. I remember WandaVision was pretty dope in the beginning, but let's see how it turns out. Let's see how like it ends like this season. I'm excited
So
because they're going to
it's
bring Punisher into it. Punisher's coming in. He's
yeah,
going to
that's
show
gonna
up
be
in a couple of.
interesting.
That's going to be dope. And I just wish we got a little more Bullseye because that fight with Daredevil and Bullseye was really good, and that power set.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. That like whole prelude to the episode before the credits and everything. Um, you basically you at that point you thought three people died: Daredevil, this guy, Bullseye, and the friend,
Yeah,
right? And that was like all within the first 10 minutes. So that was pretty epic. Um,
yeah. Daredevil had all those
but
knives sticking out of him.
I think we're in agreement, right? That like the story is good. It's a series to keep an eye on, to keep watching. We're just not fans of the Disney posterized version of this
Yeah, I don't.
look wise, just in terms of looks.
But you could definitely tell they're taking a turn with this. They're
Yeah.
like they're going out of their comfort zone, and
Hmm.
I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I'm not hyping it up like everyone else is hyping it up. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's well above like Daredevil season one or anything like that yet. But so far so good. I can't complain.
Yeah. The story's there, the plot is there, the teases are there, so it's something to keep an eye on and keep watching. And we're gonna keep talking about the show as it goes on. Hopefully by the time the season one finale happens, we'll have a wrap-up episode. Um, and we'll stay tuned. Uh, but we're gonna leave it there. That's our show for today, and tune in next week. See what's going on. New topics. Thanks, guys.
Peace.